Piano? Piano?
Business na dalawa. Marites.
Yeah.
Not last day, but not last morning. Tomorrow, I see you in the morning.
What's that for?
It's raining.
Oh, raining.
Raining. Yes.
Oh, we're going for a
Should you go
tour.
around?
Oh.
Every day in red carpet.
Oh, red carpet. Bye. Never. Morning.
Suksok mo, leader mo.
Ang leather hindi mababasa?
Ha?
Ang leather? Ito, balisa natin. Morning.
Makuha. Gede ka? Pwede.
Breakfast.
Mga carrots.
Ano naman ang kinuha mo puno? Hindi na.
Ako masama na. Ano?
Ako na kuha. Ako makuha. this one. And a little bit. toga. Good morning, Livorno. Okay, good morning everyone. Sorry for waiting. There was a bit disorganization from part of your ship. We were waiting for somebody who was on 53 bus. So, okay. But no worries, no worries. Welcome to Livorno. We are, my name is Pia and I'm going to take care of you all day. Our photographer today is Sara. Buongiorno, and our driver is Luca. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
We are ducked into Livorno. Not very good weather, but the weather forecast says at least no rain in Florence. Cross fingers, because you know it's like all weather forecasts. You can't really believe it. But we need rain. We have to be positive. Our glass, how is it? Half full, always, right? Optimism. Half empty, pessimism. Do you know how my glass is? It's always empty. It has to be filled with wine. That is what I stole from a bar. We approximately have a 1 hour and a half drive into Florence. We drive directly. And then when we are in Florence, we have a 10-minute walk and we start immediately with our tasting, wine tasting that is included in your tour today. And then our walking tour around. Just to point out, this is not a guided tour, it's a photography tour sense of. We have Sara behind us in the group. She has frames with Florence, with Pisa. She can take funny pictures of you if you want to. But I'm with you leading to the points where we have the main sites. That is, of course, the cathedral, the political center, a view of Ponte Vecchio, the old bridge, and Santa Croce Square. And then driving out of Florence, we stop in a square on top of the hill where you have a stunning view of the city. Okay. Driving out then to Pisa, and then back to the ship. More or less in 8 hours, 8.5, 9, doesn't matter. One time is all on board about 8:30 today, I think. 8:30? What time does it leave the ship?
8:30.
Okay. 8:30 or 6:30?
No, 8:30.
8:30, okay. But we're supposed to be back like 6:30, but it might be like 7 something. Depends on traffic. You know, in Italy when it rains, everything is going crazy. It's a chaos when it rains, especially in Florence. Florence is an old city, dating back, founded by the Romans, and dating back very old, a part of the heritage of UNESCO today. So it means that we literally, they can't change anything, so narrow streets, and when it rains, all the Florentine, they're driving, they're not walking, they're not taking the scooters. So, but what they said, the bus drivers came from Florence this morning, it wasn't raining, and what the weather forecast says, it will be raining by end afternoon, and then we'll be out of Florence. So. And also the bridges are Armenians, and then he used, we're going to see in Florence a river today that is the Arno River, A-R-N-O, that starts inland and runs towards west. The last city that it crosses is Pisa, and then it runs out this way. So they use literally the Arno River to transport all the trade into Florence from Livorno. But Livorno is also like when you have a pentagon, it's built as a pentagon with all the canals around, a bit like small Venice as we call it, because they will use those canals so they could take the small rowing boats into the trade into the very center city, into the storerooms just on the canals at the time. Well, today's a modern city, as I told you. It has a very beautiful promenade. It has the Academy of the Navy, a lot of military situating in Livorno due to the port, and but I love this city. I just told even people.
Selfie stick if you want to, one for a couple, and I'll show you how to use it. This tool allows us to take better picture because you can elongate the stick and you also can rotate.
trees also because when we're driving in, you will notice that Tuscany becomes very hilly, so it's a very good soil and to the subsoil even to grow the grapes, because when it doesn't rain so much, the plants of the grape, they have very long and straight roots, so they go to find their own water in the end. Because if you want to produce the quality of the wine here that is Chianti Classico, you're not allowed to water your plant, so they has to find it itself. And since it's very also stony, it makes a lot of small holes so the roots of the grapes can go straight down. Then we have a lot of towns like this. This town is Pontederi, that is famous like for two things. It has a big industry of the Vespers, the scooters or motorbikes. They are originally produced here. And a 20 minutes drive from here, there's a tiny village called Laiatico, and it's where Andrea Bocelli was born, our big opera singer. He's from Tuscany, yes. In the summer and July, normally he has a concert in the countryside in the valley among the cypresses, because with he and his father, they found out being on their property, I think even it was, that there was a very good acoustic. So he normally, or either he does like Pavarotto did with friends, or he makes some opera. I think this year was opera. Very impossible to get tickets, very expensive as well. But when he's in Italy, when he's home, he lives by the seaside in a town called Forte dei Marmi. Forte dei Marmi he lives. He has his villa up there.
Now what a villa. What a villa. Bocelli.
So what they're growing, while you see some trees in a square around the same trees, they are the poplar trees because they're growing for the furniture. They produce a lot of furniture here, so it's also one of the trees that grows very quickly, and they used in the Middle Ages or 14, 15 in Renaissance, the period, also for to paint on. So a lot of our paintings in Florence in the Uffizi.
Dadala ka sa
Hindi, sa UK,
Masa airport na.
sa duty free.
Wala na, simple naman.
Ato to bisan 4 walls lang. Pag tapos ipa-ship mo to ang stereo mo. Kung patukaron mo na, hindi na nila na makita ang wala dira. Ang batian lang nila, ma-admire lang sa music.
Kita nyo.
Is Santa Croce Square, the Holy Cross Square, where we kind end our walking tour around when you have done all your selfies, and hopefully we can manage to give you some free time. And in that square, it's also where they started. It's the church of the Holy Cross, where in the church a lot of our famous art, fashion, so bags, jackets,
Ito makumuha din.
gloves and so on, wallets. So you'll see quite a few leather shops in Florence.
Yeah.
Only few are left today of the real handmade Florentine leather. And our final meeting probably in front of one of those shops. So if you really want to touch the Florentine leather, you can go into that shop and touch it. But mainly in that shop as well is they also have a lot of restaurants, and they give us them for free because they are connected to your ship as well. So mainly that. The gold as well, what they do, they have a lot of different colors. So gold, normal gold, yellow, white, rose gold, even black gold, and all they call it chocolate gold as well. Around with a special cut in Florence. They're not famous for diamonds, but they're famous for the what we call the diamond cut. So they cut it down so it glitters as it seems as a small diamond. Fashion fashion, one of the most important fashion designers was born in Florence. That was Gucci. He was from Florence, of the Florentine family. But even Ferragamo has his shops and industry and head office in Florence, even though he was from the family's origin from Naples. Here what you have at the other side, you see a lot of tiny towns on the top of the hills. A lot of them are medieval towns with the city walls around, because at the time you could, and each city was literally on its own after the Roman Empire. So they built the city wall around, and then they had their own political centers. Of course, if you was a tiny town or small town, you build it on top of the hills, you could watch out for your enemies. This one is called San Miniato, and it's an area which is very famous for the truffle. So they have truffle hunting around. Now it's the period of truffles, and the last 2 weekends they just have the big truffle feast. So like you can go into the streets and taste what they use, mainly white truffles in this area. Then you go a bit up into the hills, you find the mushrooms, like porcini, and also the hunting season is in. So here in Tuscany, especially inland, they are really meat eaters, hunting, and one of the special plates in Florence you see around. If you ever come back, you have time to have a good lunch. We won't have so much time today for that, but if you have time for a very good lunch, the important plate of Florence is the T-bone steak, called Fiorentina. So it's the T-bone steak. It's like 3 fingers tall, 3 minutes grilled each side. So the real Florentine people, they almost read it rare blue inside. If not, what they do now, winter time, they have a lot of old recipes with vegetables. They also started to reuse old poor recipes, is where they cook in the old bread. There's one called pappa al pomodoro, that is bread cooked in with tomato sauce, and also vegetable soups, and they put in a 10 minutes walk into the tasting, and where we approximately like 20 minutes, so you also have to do your toilets. Fortunately, it's not very good at public toilets, so that's why we tried, do tasting first. After before we go back to the bus, I was speaking about the leather shop. For us is very important, because they have like 8 restrooms inside, very clean, and you can use them for free, 8 for women and 8 for men, so you can use them for free. So our final meeting point in Florence is in this, I'll point out more or less where it is before we go to the tasting, is Santa Croce Square 250, and we meet all there. You check in on the list, please, because that's why we make the list, so I know exactly who's with me and who is not with me. And then we walk back to the bus. But if you're following all the tour for the photo stop that we have, we are mainly together all day. I'm trying to see how much free time I can give you a bit, so maybe you grab a quick sandwich before we go. At least you do your restrooms, and then we head for pizza. Because the tour is about 8 hours, it's a bit difficult to do that in 8 hours, especially when it's Friday today, so traffic out of Florence can be happy as well. So those are the practical things. My phone number is on the very top. If you decide that it's too much wrong, you want to skip out, at least as you know where we meet. But I pointed out while we're walking in together. So when we get off the bus, stay to the group, don't run away. And then after the tasting, we will go to the cathedral, where I'll give you like 10 minutes of photo shooting. Then from the cathedral, we go to the main square of the political center. We will go for the bridge, where you have a couple of minutes to take photos of the bridge. I'm not crossing the bridge with you, because you get lost over there, and it's quite a lot of walking. But where you have the best photo, and when we are on the bus, we drive up to a square dedicated to Michelangelo. It's called Piazzale Michelangelo Square, but it's on the top of the hill, and you have the stunning view of Florence. You see it all. Florence, in the end, it's a big town. It counts about 350,000 inhabitants, and all Tuscany is about 5 million. So you see all these big areas of countryside and beautiful things. So Tuscany, if you've been, I don't know if you've already been to Rome, you go to Rome. Rome has 5 million, has big distance, so don't worry about the walking tour. It's all around there. It's not very far around. So that's mainly how our tour is set up. And let's repeat, it's a photographic tour, so you are for photos. I will give you some explanation a bit into Florence, get into details about the monument you're going to see, and so on. So that's how the tour is set up. And when approximately we have 10 minutes of free time, I continue. I give you the time to follow me. After the taste and everything, you follow me. When I stop, get close, get the exact time, because then I move again. I don't check you in every time, because then we lose too much time and you disturb. We had a lot of wars. So in this area of Tuscany, we had first a couple of 100 years dominated by Germans, and then they were kicked out by the French, or the French Republic, or kingdom they came to rule around, and then the Germans again, but none of them managed to keep the power, so they left the Germans, the Lombards as they were called, in by the end of year 1000, and then the local people in Florence, they started to rebuild Florence. And in the beginning, Florence was handled noble people, so people with money, people with titles, few of them were already bankers and so on. They ruled in the city. And it became a very important merchant city. So during the 1200, beginning and mid 1200, a lot of merchants, they came by, they moved into the city. There was a big silk industry, grain industry, wool and so on, gold, leather already. And all those merchants, didn't have any title, no noble people, but they wanted some influence in, of course, in this city, in the political system. So at the time they invented the guilds, like small unions. You needed to be a member of a guild, then you could be elected into the government if you voted for that. And if you were elected, you became a prior. So there were bankers' guilds, shoemakers' guild, and so on. It seems very easy system, but it was declared a republic after the noble people that dominated first. But it was declared a republic in 1252. Oh, sorry, 1255. So 1252 when they mint or have gold, coined the gold mint, the Fiorino, the florin. And so they invented the guilds. By the end of the 1200, they start to build all the main buildings, like our cathedral, Santa Croce Church, Santa Maria Novella Church, the political center where we are passing through. That is still our council or city hall today, but only the office of the... So you were elected, you became a prior. Florence is divided into 4 parts. So you kind of have 2 priors from each part of the city, 8 priors to command the city, literally closed into the city for 2 months. So nobody could influence them, and that seems very simple, not very smart. But then they invented during the years, and by the mid-1400, the councils in Florence, they counted 500 people. So if you were kind of very important or wealthy family, you knew who to corrupt, to just say it very easily that way. So the Republic lasted until 1530. And there are 2 golden periods in Florence. One is mid-1200 towards the end of the 1200, and beginning 1300, we have the Black Death or the Black Plague coming into the city, so with more than half the inhabitants, economical crisis, and then they started all over again. Then second golden period in Florence is mid-1400, when the Medici family moves into the city. And the very first important man of the city, of the Medici family, is Cosimo the Elder. He's apparently very discreet, because for the first 200 years, the family ruled under the table, corrupting or paying out for who they wanted, with ideas to get through the councils at the time. So, Cosimo the First and his grandson, this is a very important man. His name is Florence the Magnificent, for instance. He was the one that discovered Michelangelo and made him this important artist, and he grew up with them. Let me just check if everybody's on the list. Did everybody sign into the list? Because I am missing 3.
Ito yung mga dutumpok na yun. Bumala ko. Siguro wala na yung lagi na pataas. Wala para na ma-focus yung dali lang. At least. May mga farmers yan.
Scaffolding is how could you that so tall up? Well, Brunelleschi created a platform on the very top, and then he created and somehow got some crans up, so the workers were raised on planks and ropes from those crans and building it up stone by stone in what we call it the fishbone principle. And we don't have time, so you're lucky today, but if you ever come back you want to climb it, there are 466 steps onto the very top, and you go in between 2 domes, so you literally can see how it's built if you ever come back. It's 100 years older than the one in Rome, so Michelangelo from his hometown, he was inspired by that dome to build the dome on St. Peter's Church. So if you're kind of staying a few days in Rome, because I think you have the on-off of the on-off of the I'll say it in English, but if you manage to climb that dome in Rome, you will really have a stunning view of all Rome, and it's much easier because we call it the modern dome, because today they have a lift up to the terrace, so you literally only climb the dome. In Florence, if you come back, you want to climb it, you have to climb it all the 466 steps. After the cathedral area, we are having a 5 minutes walk. We go to the political center where our city hall is. In Florence, you're welcome to leave it on the bus. But what you need, you have to take it with you, because he is not allowed to be parked there all day. We cannot come back to the bus before we're getting out. So when we all meet, I call him and he comes back and picks us up, okay? But the bus is not used to anything else. So if you have extra jacket, umbrella, whatever, if you want to risk it, you can leave it on the bus, no worries. Any questions so far? If you didn't take a photo, you can just come to me. I have the list. So if you want to take a photo of my number, our final meeting point, I repeat it. So Santa Croce Square means the Holy Cross Square. So the last meeting point in Florence, if some of you get lost or if you skip out of the group, but if you don't want to follow me or whatever, please let me know, it's 2:50 p.m. Okay, 10 minutes to 3. That clear to everyone? Good. So then while we walk out, we have some questions. As I already told you, we are going with Sara. Sara, then she will be behind to keep together the group. She has some frames, Florentine frames, so if you want to make some funny photos, she will help you out. If you have any problems with the selfie sticks, she will be there. I'm in the front of the group, and I think I'll take out my umbrella first, so you can follow my umbrella. And that's pretty it. And then after, when we are back 3 o'clock, we will be in Pisa. It's a bit dark this time, but your ship is coming in late. Either you have the darkness in Florence or you have it in Pisa.